Thursday's Telegraph next. And Nick, it turns out that what the Nazis really hated were ultra-low emission zones.
Yes, that was what really got them going. That's how it all started. So Sadiq Khan claims Nazi sympathisers have latched onto anti-Ulez protests. He said this before. He's saying it again. He's doubling down. It was a disgusting thing the first time.
He was saying right-wing before, or he seemed to be suggesting... now he's saying, like, Nazis.
Yeah, I think he did say things like that, and he listed Tories in there. But now he's changed that slightly. He said, my worry is that they're latching on to decent Tories, decent people who oppose the Ulez expansion, but there are also Nazis. Now, I mean, ridiculous. We've seen this tactic with Kelly J. Keane in New Zealand. You call someone far right, it's a green light to do whatever you want to them. It's a way of shutting down the argument. These are people who don't want to pay the Ulez charge because it's awful. I'm hoping it's going to be Khan's poll tax and people will just rebel against it, which they are doing.
How are they rebelling? Well,
people, you know, they're protesting. Some people have, they've shut down cameras. I saw something the other day where someone had just driven through this. Oh, no, that was the 15-minute cities. But anyway, they're sort of generally protesting and rebelling. But the funny thing is, Emily Thornberry here says she saw at least one swastika with Mr. Khan's face on it. Isn't that calling Khan a Nazi more likely for his Ulez? Like, if you had you wouldn't really have a swastika with his face if you were a Nazi, would you? So that might... Now, there might be some actual bad people there, like with most
maybe
protests.
Khan's the leader of the Nazi party.
Well, that might be what they're implying with the sign. I mean, there might be some people that are generally bad people. It usually happens. Some people might be planted there. That also happens. Maybe not these. It happens in big protests in America. Or, you know, it's just smearing your opponents as far right.
Well, I think there's a few interesting things here, Lewis. First of all, it's quite interesting that I think this is the first time we've ever heard a Labour politician talk about the decent Tories. Yeah. That's quite nice.
Well, he's divided. He actually believes there might be decent Tories.
But the other thing is that the implicit idea that it's only going to be the Tories who are the protesting against it, where I know a lot of Labour supporters who are very much against this policy.
Well, I think what he means, and I think this is what's happening now, that silo theory, which we've discussed, is there's no room for overlap. There's no Venn diagrams anymore. If you're either with us 100% or you're against us 100%. And he's saying, if you're not with us on the Ulez thing, you are a Tory.
By definition.
By definition.
No, of course it is. Well, that's what they've said about the trans rights issue, even though, as you know, I'm a bit of a lefty, but at the same time, because I've been supporting women's rights, that makes me, by default, a far right, whatever. Yeah. But this is, and I just want to say what you were saying exactly. That narrative is dangerous and has had, horrible implications in New Zealand, as we saw. But it's an interesting thing where these Nazis, neo-Nazis, turned up at this event, Let Women Speak. And then all the people, all the trans activists were like, well, look, now they're neo-Nazis. But they weren't invited by these women. These women are mostly left-wing women. And then they were like, well, why didn't they challenge them? It's like, you're meant to be the anti-fascists, and you're mostly men, and none of you stood up to actually do it. But you expect these women to fight them off?
Yeah, nonsense.
It is a weird thing.
And by the way, just on your question about what people are doing, they've cut the wires of these cameras, they've painted over the lenses, so people are, like, aggressively against this. And it's not good enough to
breaking the law.
Anyway, it's not good enough to just say that they're far right, that they just hate the policy.
Yeah, well, we'll see if it makes an impact to the next election, I guess.
But keep in mind that, I wrote it down, that claiming fascism or Nazism is the last resort of the scoundrel.
Thank you so much. And thank you for writing that down, Liz. You know, a real intellectual. Andrew Doyle would have just remembered that one. But you're just like, remember, the thing of the thing is the thing. On to The Guardian next.
I'm trying to be prepared.
Good for you, mate. Good for you.
Next time, don't admit that you've written it down.